that aware of it. It was never problematic for me until I started to talk on the radio, and people made me more aware of it.
Okay, so that takes me to my next question. Does that time coincide? Did you actually start having the frog at the same time as you started talking, or did you just notice it at that time? Because it's a very important, that's very important to know. Did you actually start having this problem when you started speaking more? Say, I assume that you're doing a lot of coaching as well. So coaching is speaking, and being on the radio obviously is speaking. And did you see an increase in the amount of speaking you were doing at the same time as you, as the frog, like we call it, as the frog appeared? Or do you think you just noticed it more then?
I believe that I was noticing it more. I think I've had this problem for some time, but now I'm really aware of it.
And you cannot trace it back to something that you were doing differently at one point where you started having this frog?
Well, I believe it has something to do with allergies, though that hasn't been pinpointed exactly. I'm not sure. I'm guessing that that's the case.
Okay, so that makes perfect sense, because normally when we get a frog, and for anyone who does not know what a frog is, it's when you feel as a tickly kind of cough, you need to cough, or you need to go like this. It's a scratchy, tickly sensation in the throat. And it's a very common thing, and it's also very annoying. It's extremely annoying, especially if you have to speak a lot. And normally frogs can come from two things. They can come from constrictions, which is basically overuse or wrong use of the voice in some way. And this is why I was asking you if your speaking, overall speaking, had increased at some point, and this is where you experienced it, or it can come from allergies. And those are the two reasons why we would normally get these problems. So the thing that you need to do, first of all, you need to look at your habits. And by that, I mean your speaking habits. And then you need to look at your eating habits. When you get frogs from allergy, it's normally, when it affects the voice, it's normally a dairy allergy. I don't know if you have a dairy allergy, do you, Victor?
Well, I try and limit my dairy. In fact, most of the last 20 years, I've had only a scant amount of dairy. I'm more of a vegan kind of person, though I'm not a pure vegan.
Okay, because milk, for instance, is one of the worst culprits with regards to allergies that goes on the voice. So this is definitely something to keep an eye out for. But personally, I have to say that when I listen to your voice, to me it doesn't sound like allergy. It sounds like a strain that has been sitting there for a long time, and that you would be able to get rid of by learning how to use the voice in a better way. What happens is, if we do get a strain and we don't notice it, and this is very common because most people don't even realize that they're speaking wrong. We speak wrong for different reasons. We don't know any better, or we're a little bit lazy, or there are many reasons why we would not support the voice in the proper way that it's supposed to be supported. And it's a very common problem amongst coaches, for instance. Because as a coach, you do tend to speak a lot. As a teacher, for instance, you speak a lot, and often you stand in front of a small crowd where you're not mic'd up, like I am now, for instance. And this can be very hard for the voice if you're not supporting the voice in the right way. And you may not even notice this. You may not know that there is a problem. And very slowly, that problem can develop into a tiny little what comes before a nodule, if you've heard that expression. And that's just a tiny little bump on the vocal cords, on one vocal cord. And that can develop and be very annoying and create this sensation of constantly having to cough and having an itchy sensation on the vocal cord. And so what happens over time is that because we are so ingeniously built, we have the mucous membranes, and they're there to protect the voice. They will then produce mucus to alleviate the problem, to protect your vocal cords, And that mucus would make it even more annoyed, and you get a little bit inflamed, and then you start to go, scratchy, because you want to get rid of it, and then that's a vicious circle. So what I would advise you to do is to create a healthy voice habit and do certain things every day, and then see if that will not take care of the problem. I would also say, in your case, because you've had it for a long time, I would go and see a special voice doctor. I can't say the words because it's a laryngologist. I can't say it, but it's something, a doctor that specializes in the larynx, and they can film your vocal cords in action, and they stick down a little camera, and they can basically see if everything is as it should be. And very often you find that with wear and tear that has gone on for a couple of years or many years perhaps, there will be like a little bump there. And then you will be sent to speech therapy. This is very common as well. And a speech therapist, or somebody like myself, for instance, will then teach you how to support your voice in the right way, how to use your breath in the right way, and how to project the sound so that the voice will heal. And you will no longer, because you're then using the right techniques, you will no longer create nuisance and then constrictions on your voice.